Hello, everyone. It's Jay Branch with Purpose for Purpose. Thank you for joining me today. We are going to be talking about friendships. That seems to be the theme right now for me, but some good stuff. So, just kind of thinking about what's going on with the coronavirus and friendships and leaning in and making those deposits into our friendship bank account got me thinking. It is difficult, perhaps, for some during this time to kind of make the deposits that we normally would make, or make the deposits how we normally would make deposits, right? Maybe, and just in real life, so taking it out of the context of friendship, we are used to going into the bank, making a deposit. Not most of us, right? Because we back in the day, like back it up a couple years ago, when we go into the bank, make a deposit, go to the ATM, make a deposit. Now we know we can do that stuff mobilely. So when it comes to our friendships, it's kind of the same thing right now. For some, we're used to depositing into our friendships in a certain way, especially in the way of being able to see them in person, spending time with them, going to visit them, whatever it is that you do with them in person. We're not really able to do that right now, given the situation that we are in right now with the coronavirus. So I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting, because while we are in this situation, we want our friendships to still grow, right? We want to still develop our friendships. We want to still be able to deposit into our friendship bank account, and we don't want to just put it on hold and then pick it up 60, 90, however long this is going to last, days from now, and hope that all is well, right? Like, there is a difference between those long-term friendships, those long-standing friendships that you've been friends for 15 plus years, versus friendships that were kind of new in their infancy. Maybe you've been friends for 30 days, 60 days, maybe a year, 2 years. Those types of relationships require a little bit more in the beginning than it does with a friendship that you've had, like those lifelong friends that you've had, or those friends that we've just had for maybe 8, 10, 9 years. So, in my free time, because I have a lot, was just kind of thinking of how can we still show up for our friends with the limitations that we have with social distancing? How can I continue to make sure that I am depositing into my friendship bank accounts during this time? Because I also believe that in this time, we need our friends. It can be overwhelming at times. It can be stressful, frustrating. We don't know sometimes what to do, how to do it, because we are kind of for some, we're in a new situation, especially those that don't normally work from home but are now working from home with kids. Versus, I have friends that they homeschool. This isn't really new for them. Their life hasn't changed in that regard. So it's been awesome for them to kind of help me and encourage me as I kind of I navigate distance learning with my own kids. So you've heard me mention a few times about making deposits into our friendship bank account. We can make deposits, and we can make withdrawals as well. So I want to explain that just a little bit before I give you some of my ideas that I came up with, and how we can continue to deposit into our friendship bank account. When I talk about, let me talk about deposits and withdrawals. It's based on this idea of a 5-to-1 ratio that Dr. John Gottman, who is a relationship researcher, his idea of a 5-to-1 ratio when it comes to relationships, whether it's friendships, marriages, whatever it is. We want to have, for every one negative feeling or interaction that we have, we want to make sure that we have 5 positive feelings or interactions to counterbalance that. So basically, the good outweighs the bad. We've heard that before, but this is just putting a number to it. So for every 1 bad, 5 good. By doing that in our friendships, what begins to happen is that we create a buffer in our friendships of positive, those 5 deposits. We keep making those 5 positive deposits into our friendship bank account. And then what happens is that when it's time to withdraw, we have we have substance, we have things in the bank account that allows us to, positive things that allows us to withdraw from the bank account without hurting the bank account. We are, and if we are making positive deposits on a regular basis, you can actually you can withdraw on a regular basis, because again, if you keep that ratio up, you're able to do it. And that's really important, because when you are making those deposits, you're building, you're developing and building a friendship, is growing, you're enhancing it, right? But then when you withdraw it, which means withdrawing can be, it can be conflict, it can be ignoring, threatening, overreacting, any type of disagreement, unmet expectations that we can experience in our friendships. When those things happen, our friends still show up for us, right? They still show up for us. They still love us unconditionally. It doesn't change the way that they engage with us. They're still there because we have built up enough currency in the account that it's not overdrawing the account, and now we're at a deficit. We're not, and it allows us to really to have those arguments, those disagreements, to accept each other's flaws, and have arguments that even aren't we aren't communicating well, like it's not positive, and we can still maintain that love, respect, and support and admiration for each other in spite of what's happening in the moment that's not so favorable or negative. So it's just important that we continue to deposit into our friendship bank account, so that when it's time, because we are going to have moments where we're going to make withdrawals, and sometimes those withdrawals are intentional, sometimes they are not intentional, but when they happen, we're able to do it, and our friendships can still survive. They're still survive. You're not hurt by the withdrawal. And I can't really stress the importance of making the deposits, but kind of bringing it back to our current day situation, where we aren't able to see our friends in person. And you think, well, yeah, I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna text them, and I think that that's great, absolutely, because I'm gonna say that I jotted down my ideas for this. You absolutely want to do those things. And so when we talk about making those deposits, it's it's positive experiences and feelings that we create. It's being courteous, it's being thoughtful and kind and honest with our friends, being loving, showing them admiration and affirming them. Not just now, though, and I know that I'm talking about our current situation with the coronavirus, but I really believe that this should continue even after this. That these are things that we can practice in our friendships in general, but just kind of with what's going on, it made me really kind of stop and think about, how can I, Janita, show up for my friends during this time? How can I let them know that while we can't go on our girls trip, while I can't come see you and spend the weekend, while I can't meet you for coffee, have a girls night, and all those things that we would normally do in person, you are still valuable to me, and I love you, and I value the position that you have in my life and what you bring to my life, and I want to connect with you however that looks for me, for us, and this is my attempt to do so. So a few things, right? I think that it's important, like we said, calling and texting. Absolutely. I love when I get a text, or I'm texting a friend. I'm like, hey, look, like, what's your schedule look like? What does it look like this week, next week, 2 weeks from now? Because some of my friends are crazy busy. And we set a date. Put in my calendar, I block that time, and I keep the date. Unless something crazy, crazy happens that I can't control, that I really have to do, I keep the date because it's important to me. And I think that when we make plans with our friends and we follow through, that does show our commitment. And I'm not saying that things don't come up and we do have to schedule and, like, reschedule, but Think about it like this. If we always make plans to do something called meet up and I'm always canceling, at some point, you're going to question my commitment. It's the truth. And so we need to make sure that we try to keep our commitments with our friends as much as possible. So set a date and stick to it. Another thing is to ask your friends their preferred method of communication. Why would I say that? And what does that have to do with making deposits into your friend bank account? Let me explain. So, if I am a telephone girl, I love to talk on the phone. I want to hear your voice. I want to laugh. I want to have that back and forth dialogue. And you always text me, I'll reply. But on my end, I'm feeling like there's a little bit of deficit when it comes to connection. I'm connected to you and we are connecting through our conversation, but I don't feel as connected unless you call me. That might just be my own preference or your friend's preference. Or I might feel that text messages are very impersonal or I don't like them. Or you might feel that phone calls are intrusive. They just don't work with your lifestyle and your schedule. Whatever it is, I have friends that are like, WhatsApp me. Basically, put like if I call them, text them, they probably won't reply very fast, if at all. That's just who I'm working with. But if I WhatsApp them, oh man, they're on it. They are on it. There have been times that I will call and then they WhatsApp me back. So I've learned that WhatsApp is the best way to get in contact with them when I want to get in contact with them. That's how they prefer to communicate. Not necessarily mine, but I'm not communicating 100% solely for myself, right? So if I want to communicate with my friend, I want to connect, then I'm more willing to communicate in a way that's comfortable for them and that's ideal for them. I do believe in compromise, don't get me wrong, but I do think that it's worth having the conversation to say, hey, what is the best way, for us to communicate, especially if you're noticing that that they are leaning more towards one form of communication versus maybe your own preferred or the way in which you have been trying to reach out to them. So just make sure you get the lines of communication are open, you have met expectations, and now you can move forward because you know how they want to be contacted. After that, I think that it's important, and I kind of just touched on this, expectations, communicating to our friends, with our friends, our expectations of them. And it's not so much sit down and you, like you're at a negotiation table and you're sliding papers across the table, but I do think that in conversation, indirectly, a lot of times, if we're paying attention to what our friends are saying and how they're saying it, then we can pick up on the things that they expect from a friend and in their friendships and in relationships in general, the things that annoy them, the things that make them happy. But we have to be paying attention. We have to become almost like a student of our friend where we are taking notes, and learning about them so that we can apply it to our friendship. Really, that's really what it is. And of course, we hope that they're doing that as well. Because if I don't like my coffee black, and I love coffee, but I don't like black, and you don't realize that every time we go to the coffee shop, I'm ordering a vanilla latte, and you bring me black coffee, I appreciate the gesture, but I'm probably not going to drink it. And then my hope is that you wouldn't take me not drinking it as, like I didn't appreciate it. But the miscommunication was that you weren't paying attention to the 20 times that we went to the coffee shop that I didn't order my coffee black. So it's just paying attention, having communication, having conversations that kind of go below the surface, because that's what gives us the insight to what's going on with our friends and their preferences. Also, when we talk on the phone, right, calling and even via text, we can do this. Being sincere in our conversations, right? So, funny story is that I had a friend call me, answer the phone, and they were like, "Hey, how are you?" Now, don't ask me what made me say this, but I said, "Are you asking just to ask, or do you really want to know?" I don't know why I did that. And they said, I was kind of asking just to ask, like, just kind of like that, uh, just the routine kind of conversation. You know, when you walk by someone, you're like, oh, hey, how are you? But you keep going because you don't really want to know how they're doing. It's just like the polite, cordial thing to do. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. And we continued the conversation. There were things going on, but they really didn't want to know. Not a knock against my friends, just using it as an example. Love them dearly. But I do think that when we get on the phone with our friends and we're talking, that we should make an attempt to sincerely ask them how they're doing. What's going on in your life, especially now, right? Like, girl, how you holding up? What's up, girl? What's up? How you feeling, right? Asking them how they're doing, talking to them about the things that are of interest to them, talking to them about the things that you know that about what's going on in their life. Like, the conversation shouldn't be all about, girl, let me tell you what's going on with me, what I'm doing. It's not, this isn't your show, right? It's a shared sitcom. They got a role, you have a role, and you all share that space. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when we got to call and we just like, girl, and we got to vent and we got to just get it out. And vice versa, they're going to need to be able to do that with us as well. But we also have, there are times more than those other times that it's a shared space where we are asking them about them because we're interested in them. We're interested in their life and what's going on and being a part and finding ways that maybe we can support them or encourage them or even just pray for them, right? Or sending them resources maybe to help them in a new endeavor that they're trying to do. The other thing that I would recommend is being vulnerable. You've heard me kind of talk about this from time to time, and being vulnerable is tough. It's uncomfortable at times. The thing about being vulnerable is to know who to be vulnerable with. So we aren't vulnerable with everybody, but we're talking about those friends now. So we don't really have to distinguish who to be vulnerable with and not. But being vulnerable with your girlfriends, don't feel like you got to keep it with yourself. And I think that vulnerability with each other is what brings us closer. It's putting the wall down and allowing them to come into your space and into your life and to have influence and an impact and vice versa. Like, that is what friendship is about. It's about being able to be vulnerable with each other. And so it's something that you build up to, of course, but being vulnerable with each other, look, and saying, girl, I'm on the struggle bus today. And not only am I on it, but they just gave me a pass. I got an all-day round trip ticket on the struggle bus. Or, girl, I'm just not feeling good today. I'm just not feeling it. It's been a rough day. I'm just having moments of like self-doubt. I'm doubting what I'm doing. I just don't have clarity. Like, it's okay to say those things because it's a safe place. And it's inviting them into your world and to allow them the opportunity to share with you and to encourage you and to just be a support, which is what our friends want to be. Our true friends want to be in our life. They want to be able to give that to us. So this gives them the opportunity to do so. Apologize is my next one. You gotta apologize. You gotta, when things happen, own up to it and be sincere in our apologies. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Just be sincere and apologize when it's due. Take ownership. That means a lot, and it means a lot in relationships when you're able to say, you know what, I messed up. I was out of line. That wasn't called for. I'm sorry. My bad, girl. My bad. That means a lot. That means a lot. So those are a few things that I think that we should always do, that we really need to make sure that we are implementing, that we are trying to do with some consistency in our friendships now and moving forward. And so keeping those in mind, though, I continue to think about, coronavirus and social distancing and what I could do for my friends on top of those things, right? And I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm going to say this now, and I'm probably going to say it again. And it's something that I always say when I'm doing a workshop in a class, and that is everything that we're talking about right now, all the ideas, the suggestions that I'm putting out that, maybe you're having as you are listening to this, don't try to implement them all at one time. Like, that's crazy. very admirable. But I have found that when I have a list of 5 things that I'm trying to get done and make happen, the chances of me really doing all 10 and implementing all 10 into my life right then, it's I'm not going to be successful. I don't have that energy to dedicate to all 10 things effectively. I'm not going to implement them effectively in my life. Pick one. If you want to pick 2, fine, but pick one and pick a really really easy one. Like, I'm going to make sure that I apologize when I'm in the wrong. I'm not going to be prideful. I'm going to, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm going to take ownership for it. Okay. And then I can add that, I can do that in addition to reaching out to my friends and setting appointments, setting dates, making dates with them to get on the phone call, do a Zoom. What are the other ones? You have Zoom, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, like whatever it is, like making it an appointment for us to get on the phone and to connect somehow, some way, and keeping that appointment and protecting that time. I can do that. That's something that I can work on, and being consistent with my friends. And so those are the 2 that I would do, right? Versus the making the appointment. What was another one that I suggest? Making the appointment and, well, practicing vulnerability. Those are easy. But you'll see what I'm saying when I give you this list. But my whole point is, listen to the things that I just said, and now I'm about to give you some other things that we can do, kind of acts of kindness to a degree, but also making sure that we are adding positivity to our friendship. But just pick one or 2, depending on what they are, and do those. Get good at those. Make those a habit of in your friendships, a habit of making those types of deposits into your friendships, and then add on to that. Because sometimes when we take on too much and we don't accomplish it, then we get discouraged, right? And then we're back at square one. And then we feel defeated. And that's something that we don't want to plant that seed, right? We don't want to begin to plant that into our mind, like, man, I do this thing and I never get it right like this. No. Do the 1, do the 2, have success with it, celebrate that, and then move on and keep adding to it. Like, it's progress. It's something that we do over time because we're growing, we're evolving, and with that we can evolve with our friendships as well. So going back to the kind of the acts of kindness that I came up with for our friendship, ways that we could really deposit into our friendship in some different ways, in some activities, like tangible things that we could do. Of course, with the text, I mean, and we're always going to text. I don't think that we're going to stop texting, but maybe texting in a different way. So instead of being like, hey girl, let's schedule some time to talk, it's more of, I'm just thinking about you, miss you, love you, sending them some encouraging words, sending them some scriptures, girl, sending them a funny meme, a gift, like bringing joy to their life, adding something into their life besides, hey, when are you free? When can we talk? But just, girl, I miss you, love you, can't wait till we talk again. But girl, check out this gift. Like that, it's little things like that sometimes that just make my day and can make anybody's day. And it's on top of that, I think something that we really have gotten away from. We're good at the text. We're good at emails. I can't remember last time I've really emailed a friend, to be honest. But that's something that I think I might actually try. I didn't write that down, but writing letters. I love getting stuff in the mail. So writing a letter, kind of like, hey girl, like what's going on, sharing with them like what's going on with them, especially if you haven't talked to them in a while. And I know that it can be difficult to sit down and write a letter, but no one said that you had to write it all at once. What if it was a letter that you did throughout the week, and as things happened in the week, you just kind of shared it with them, and then at the end of the week, you put it in the mail, right? Or maybe it's the email, because maybe you don't want to go to the post office. But then you send the email. But it's a way to kind of bring them into your life, to share some moments with them that maybe they don't see on social media, right? Or that you don't fully share in a text message because the text would just be way too long, right? And so people also just like to get something in the mail. It means a lot that you went to the mail, that you went to the post office, put a stamp on something, and put it in the mail. Like you thought about me, and that carries some weight. That's a great deposit. Another thing, read a book together. Do like your own book club. If you have been following Purpose for a Purpose, then you know book clubs are my jam. I love it. I love it. I love it. And we actually getting ready to do our first gathering for this month's book club, the April and May, and it's relational intelligence with Dr. Darius Daniels, Pastor Daniels, amazing, amazing pastor. I love, anyway, book club. I could go into that, but if you don't know who he is, definitely check him out. Listen to some of his sermons. But book clubs are a great way to connect with your friends. You're reading the same thing. You schedule your calls. You get on there and you talk about what you learn. How is it impacting you? How is it challenging you? Find a book that you both enjoy, maybe from a certain author, a speaker, or a topic, and go from there. Another thing, virtual gatherings. Um, and I added that one because I came up with this with M&M Mondays, and it was supposed to be Margarita Manicure Mondays, but we just call it M&M Mondays, and it's a virtual girls' night that we're doing every Monday, and I love it. I look forward to it. Sometimes I'm tired, y'all, but I get on there and just the conversations and the games and the laughs, they just bring me so much joy because I'm with my kids most of the day, right? And this is a time for me to get some girl time in. So do that with your friends. Like schedule a Saturday and do coffee and Zoom or Google Hangout, FaceTime and coffee or nighttime, cocktails, whatever it is. Do that. We do a game night. There's just a lot of different things that you can do with the virtual things. So find time to do that. Maybe that's what the text is about, like setting up a virtual time for you all to get together and just connect and see each other's face and have conversations since you can't do it in person. Another suggestion is a devotional. Do devotional. The Bible app is great for that. It's just these are ways that you can connect with each other without actually being in each other's presence because it's hard right now. But even after this goes away, man, you can still continue it. Like I don't think that we should get away from that. If your friend is a gift person, maybe their love language is gifts, sending them a gift card or flowers or chocolates or whatever their snacks are. Um, just little things that they would enjoy. You know, I can't think of. There's a box that has like different snacks and stuff in it. But just finding little things that you can send them, or if you're online, because we do that a lot right now, Amazon, and you're just scrolling, you're like, man, that's so cute, or it makes you see something that makes you think about your friend. Why not purchase it and have it delivered, a surprise gift? That's something that you can do, or it may be their birthday anniversary comes up, or maybe your friendship anniversary. I don't know if that's a real thing and if people celebrate it, but if you do, there's you can send that. But a just because gift is always nice, and you can never go wrong. No one's gonna be like turn it down because it's not connected to a special occasion. Another thing to do is online games. Um, like what Scrabbles is one. Scrabble, Uno, Words with Friends, Mario Kart. Like there's so many games out there that you can. You get the app, they have the app, and you can invite them, and you guys can compete with each other, and that's just some fun. But it's a way to stay connected, be competitive. So that's something you can look into. Online albums and online journals. I'm a big journaler, and I know that most of the time we say journals are private and they're for you, but think of it in a different way. So remember the letter that I talked about? And sometimes we want to talk to our friends, but we can't because of our schedules or theirs. So if there's an online journal, maybe it's a shared Google Doc, however it looks, and you're just kind of typing out like what's going on, how you're feeling. Maybe you're sharing like, girl, I'm really struggling with this right now. And then they get to read it late at night, early in the morning at a time that works for them, and they get to kind of reply back to it, give you their thoughts and feedback. And then or you get to kind of it's a journal of just kind of what's going on. You kind of stay up to date of what's going on in their life. Another reason why this could be helpful too is if there's something that you all need to talk about, depending on your personality type, typing it out can help. You guys can kind of have a little bit of conversation back and forth before you actually jump on the phone and talk about it. Maybe it helps to clear some things up before you actually have to get on the phone. But so it can be used in a lot of different ways. But the main way was just kind of journaling and writing to bring them into your world, to kind of really share like what's going on with you and allow them to kind of give their feedback and vice versa. So that's something to think about. But also online like albums. I know that may, at first I was like, no, that's crazy, girl. Because we have social media, right? But I don't know, and maybe this is just a J thing, but I don't put all my pictures up on social media, especially pictures with my kids and with my family. But I would feel very open to do so with my friends. I do put pictures of my family and kids on social media, but there's some just that I just wouldn't, especially like right now because my daughter's hair needs to be washed and braided, and she looks crazy. But I would absolutely send a picture with her in the picture to my girlfriends. So instead of them sending like me sending them 5, 6, 7 texts with pictures, we have this online journal album of like maybe my family, their family, or however we do it, and we get to share and comment and laugh, and they kind of stay up to date and get to see what's going on with my family, and I get to see what's going on with theirs. I mean, these are just ideas, right? But the whole idea is to bring finding ways to still connect with your friends when we are kind of in a new normal maybe, or we're in a different situation than what we're normally used to, and so our schedules don't look the same. We don't In the beginning this was a little rough. I know I had a friend today say, I am so tired of sitting in the house. I feel like I'm going to go crazy. Like, we're all experiencing things in different ways, but how can we do things that are positive and pour in and just depositing positivity and love and kindness and bringing joy to our friends in ways that maybe we don't normally do because of the situation that we're in now. But even if it was generated because of our new now, doesn't mean that we can't continue to do them after we get past the social distancing and the different stay-at-home orders are lifted. I think that it's a wonderful thing to do, especially for those that don't know. I'm a military spouse, and so we definitely move, and it does get challenging sometimes because you have your friends all over the world, and so we have to be very intentional about connecting with our friends and staying in contact and letting them know that while I'm hundreds and thousands of miles away, I still love you. I'm still thinking about you. And I value you. And sometimes, let's be honest, like, that doesn't always come through in a text message. It just doesn't. It doesn't always come through. It can come through in a phone call, but if I'm always calling, which is fine, but I think that if we can find other ways to add to the way in which we deposit, that 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 carries a lot more weight. And here I want to add this too. If you're familiar with love languages, knowing your friend's love language makes a world of a difference as well. If your friend is a gift person, sending them gifts or little trinkets and stuff, e-cards, just because and out of the blue speaks volumes. That makes a huge deposit. It's tough when you're a quality time person. So face to face on Zoom is about as close as what you're gonna get right now, but it means something. Ask me how I know, because I'm quality time. So being able to do FaceTime and Zoom and see my friends' faces and laugh with them means a lot to me. So finding out their love language and finding a way to fill their love tank in a way that speaks to them during this time is very important, and I would encourage you to do so. So hopefully my suggestions were helpful. You can take some and try to, take one and try to implement them if you aren't already doing so. And this is what as I get off of here and close up, this is what I say. Maybe with some of the things that I suggested, you're like, oh, girl, I'm already doing that. Awesome, fantastic. You are steps ahead of some. But I would ask, is there a way for you to do it maybe better, or to do it with some consistency? Like, is it something that you just do, and are you doing it though with consistency? And if you aren't doing it, you aren't doing those things that we talked about, especially in the beginning, about just when you get on the phone, just being sincere and asking really what's going on with them, making sure that you apologize when it's necessary. Um, just finding out, like, communicating your expectations, finding out what's their preferred method of communicating. And then the other things, the acts of kindness, the tangible things that we can do to continue to pour into our friendship bank account, those positives, so that we can maintain that 5-to-1 ratio. If you're not doing those, pick one or two, depending on what they are, and try implementing those into your friendships and making those deposits. And not, making those deposits. And then when you get those down and you got and you're consistent, and you add to that, add to that. So, hope this was helpful to you all. That you at least take one thing away that you can apply with your current friendships, as now and of course moving forward, so that our friendships don't stop, right? So it's not like after coronavirus our friendships change. No, we want to continue to develop them and deepen our friendships now, and so that they'll be flourishing friendships and fruitful friendships, even after this time. We want them to be healthy, so that when we need to make a withdrawal, we can make a withdrawal from a healthy bank account and not leave it in a deficit. So until next time, thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.